when Captain America throws his mighty shield. All those who chose to oppose his shield must yield. If he's led to a fight and a duel is due, then the red and the white and the blue will come through when Captain America throws his mighty shield.
Hello, everybody. This is the Henchmen Lounge podcast, number 7. And today we have Douglas Earth and we have Mr. Henchman 1.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
And we're going to dive into a lot of fun topics, or at least in my opinion fun, or sometimes aggravating topics. So, first of all, Douglas, I'd like to ask you to plug your website a little bit so people can see where to read these comic reviews you've been doing, and maybe tell us a little bit about what you've been reviewing lately.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Well, first, thanks for having me on again. I know you had me on a few months ago to talk about similar things, so thanks for that. So I'm glad to be here. The blog's just douglasernstblog.com, and I've been reviewing Black Panther, Bendis' Spider-Man, Iron Man, obviously Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man, and Charles Soule's Daredevil.
Wow. Quite a few I've been reading. I've been keeping up on those, even though I've been crazy busy. About the only way I've been able to keep on those. Out of all those books, I have to ask, if you could only read one and keep one title for enjoyment, which one would it be?
Right now, I'd have to say Charles Soule's Daredevil is excellent. I love it a lot. It's kind of classic noir feel to it. Daredevil's back in Hell's Kitchen, and Elektra's back, and he's fighting ninjas, so... kind of classic Daredevil stuff, especially if you grew up in the 1980s, like I did.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I have a question too, because I haven't been reading it except for reading about it through your blog. I'm very curious. Why did he do a costume change? I mean, it's sort of like a reverse. It's mostly black, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I came in a little later, so I didn't get the first 2 issues, so I don't know if they were addressed in the first 2 issues. I know after, Secret War, there's those missing 8 months.
Okay.
And a lot of things haven't been addressed, so, people don't know his identity anymore, Matt Murdock's identity. And as far as I know, because I was kind of looking into it, it hasn't been addressed at all. So I don't know if that's another issue, the costume kind of tweaks, where it hasn't been addressed either, and it will. It's just you're kind of plopped back into New York City, and now he's a New York City prosecutor, which I thought he always kind of should have been to begin with. And so he's doing that, and people don't know who he is, not even Elektra at the moment, so she comes back in, and she doesn't know, and that causes some issues. So I'm hoping that they explain this down the line, but as far as the actual, the stories that they've been telling, and the quality of the writing is pretty sound. I think Charles Soule actually was a lawyer in the past, or he might actually still be a practicing attorney, I'm not sure. But I heard something along those lines, so I think it really adds to the kind of legitimacy of the book. He knows what he's writing about, and he's able to kind of draw from that experience to make a better book.
Oh, awesome. That'd be nice to, have somebody actually knows a little bit about law writing it.
Exactly.
Not for a cheap shot, for example, but if you read, She-Hulk back, when, not to pick on Dan Slott, but when he wrote it, he did stuff like that. That doesn't make any sense at all, but, Marvel has had a long history, so has DC of that anyway. Matter of fact, there's a whole book, I think you can find it online, a snippet of it about comic book law and how goofy it is.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's one of those things where you would think that they would, I know we're going to talk about Captain America a little later, either do your research on, someone who's a military man, an officer, or get somebody who may have had be a veteran or something like that who could draw from that and make a really good book.
Absolutely. How about you, Henchman? Have you been reading anything in particular? Or?
I've been going kind of classic, so there was the Daredevil Yellow, which I want to say Tim Sale or Tim Solly is the artist on that, and I'm blanking on the name of the writer. I think it's Jeff Loeb.
Oh, really?
I think you're right, yeah.
He did, those two worked together on The Long Halloween, which is a really good Batman graphic novel that I read. Or at least it was a series of comics, which I read in graphic novel form. and I'm reading the Jack Kirby's Fourth World.
Oh wow!
Or at least attempting to. And I've been working on. I'm a comic book artist as well as, or at least, I do comic book art. I'm working on a Captain America poster, which I've just finished, and a Doctor Strange poster I'm working on right now.
Oh, cool! Now you got me curious to see that.
I know who doesn't love all the cosmic stuff that Doctor Strange fought and goofed around with.
Now, speaking of Doctor Strange, I'm really anticipating that movie. I hope they do a good job.
I hope so. He's one of my favorite characters. He's like he and the Silver Surfer are two of like my weird favorite characters in the Marvel universe. Everybody's got like their not traditional character. Like everybody loves Spider-Man. At least I should assume everybody does. But
sure.
But Daredevil's like I just finished up the season 2 of Daredevil recently on Netflix, and there's going to be a Luke Cage series coming out. And I heard he's fighting Copperhead.
Really?
I think, and I saw a costume because on my Facebook page they showed a picture of it, and but I'm not seeing it right now. I'm seeing that Tom Cavanaugh is going to be in season 3 of Flash.
Okay. Which
I've been watching that, and that's mostly fun, but it kind of gets in kind of like the crazy soap opera whiny stuff where they whine a lot. I'm like, you're superheroes, do stuff.
Well, if you think about it, really,
yeah,
this whole thing is because of he's a mama's boy. He couldn't accept that his mom died.
Yeah.
And now he's gone back and did it all again.
Yeah.
Spoiler, oops. Douglas, do you watch Flash? Just out of curiosity, you watch The Flash?
I don't know if I'm allowed to. Am I allowed to mention the spoiler? Or
I just did.
Okay.
I screwed that up already.
I don't watch The Flash, but I did read Flashpoint. So if that's where they're going, I don't. I just read a few things online that it looks like that's where they're going with it.
It does seem so.
They'll get there. It's what they're going to do. Is there was like Crisis on Infinite Earths. And Barry ends up, to save the entire DC universe. Barry goes like faster than time or beyond space and time, and does it. But yeah, Flashpoint is where he goes back in time to stop himself from saving his mom.
Yep. So
that's probably what they're going to do.
Well, you've seen the most recent, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we all have. So I'll spoil it like the dick of the group. Why not? But he since he loses his daddy, he gets even more hurt over that, and so he decides he's going to go back and save his mom right from the beginning again. So it's almost like they've renewed the whole thing, rebooted the whole thing for itself. For the next season.
I hope they bring back Killer Shark and Gorilla Grodd.
Oh, that would be awesome. For a TV show, with a limited budget being on the CW, they sure are going all out.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, Supergirl, it's moving to the CW, which some people don't realize it's not that big of a jump, really, because the CW actually is owned by the same company that owns the network that Supergirl was on.
Oh.
So, but it will be moving to the CW, so there will probably be more playing together of the universe.
Yeah, because they sometimes have Green Arrow Flash crossovers. Mm-hmm. And they've got there was this show called League of Legends, which was supposed to be a precursor to a Justice League, or
not exactly. It's they're going to try to stop Vandal Savage. I've been watching it. I'm a couple episodes behind.
I just finished the last episode, mm-hmm. And there's a guy who comes in going, don't go back in time, because if you do, you'll die. I'm so and so from the Justice Society.
Oh wow!
What? Cool.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. Have you been watching that as well, Doug?
For the most part, I only stick to like the Marvel Netflix series. I've never been a huge DC guy. I don't have anything against DC per se.
Right.
But I'll always check out the Marvel Netflix series, but I haven't checked out any of the DC stuff. My wife sometimes will watch the DC stuff, but for the most part, I leave that to her.
To me, it seems like Star Trek with DC heroes.
Yeah.
And I actually like it more than I expected to.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised. The first 2 episodes, I was like, eh.
Yeah. And then it's like, it's getting pretty cool. The Atom's a little weird, but it's like, that's not the Atom to me, but, what do I know?
Right.
Well, awesome. Okay, so we've got some good reviews. I think it might be a good time to, actually, we're all real nice right now and talking about nice things, so But so we mentioned what you're reading now. I didn't mention what I'm reading now, so I'll finish up. I've been reading since I've not been real happy with the direction of the comic industry right now. Yeah. With things, so I'm sort of taking a temporary break from it and using the time to read stuff that I haven't read that I've always wanted to. And I've been taking time to read from the MC2 universe, Spider-Girl. And I tell you, I am really, really enjoying it. Just for a little insight, this is Spider-Girl. This is Mayday Parker from the MC2 universe. It was started in 1998, I believe. Yeah, the series started in 98. It went for 105 issues, then it stopped and they rebooted it for like another 30 issues or something. And I have those, I haven't read it yet. I'm up to issue 92 right now, I think, in the series. But part of the thing I'm really liking about it, boy, I'm going to sound like a jerk once again for saying this, but it's got Peter Parker, Mary Jane, and they're actually written in character. Because right now, in my opinion, and Douglas, you're doing these reviews, so you probably have a better opinion on it than I am. Peter Parker is just not Peter Parker right now.
No, he's Peter Parker, Wayne Stark, Jobs, Zuckerberg. Now that he's in charge of Parker Industries and flying on arachno rockets into outer space and then crashing into Earth as a spider meteor and things like that. So yeah, he's definitely a different guy. Right.
Well, and there's a couple things I have with that. Like one, you mentioned the spider meteor. So he's crashing through like a spider meteor, and he's surviving this. Right. He's just recently, I think it was in the same issue or something. He's doing advanced math or the issue before, and then all of a sudden he can't do, basic math anymore. It's like, what happened?
But, yeah, as he was burning up in the atmosphere, traveling at like Mach, 3 or whatever the terminal velocity is. Damn! He's doing calculations in his head to be able to land in Paris, France, with the rotation of the Earth. And then, like, the next issue, he doesn't know how to convert kilometers to miles.
Yeah, and see that it's like, what the hell? So in Spider-Girl, they're written in character. Peter's no longer Spider-Man, but he has a couple inklings and dabbles in it a little bit throughout when he thinks he needs to protect his daughter. He lost a leg in an epic battle with the Green Goblin. So, he's retired, and he works as a forensic scientist for the police, which makes a lot of sense. He's using his science knowledge, and instill a capacity in that way to be a hero, which I thought was really good. And it's just, and the Mayday Parker is a great character, so it's giving me my Mary Jane fix, because even she's written, not the weed, and fascinating, Mary Jane, as well as a really good adult Peter Parker. And that's one of the things I don't get about the current regime writing Spider-Man, is they keep talking about, responsibility. Well, what more responsibility is there than making him have a family? They erased all that.
That would be kind of the natural progression for the character, but for whatever reason, they kind of want to have him trapped in this sort of man-boy adolescence, where he goes from girlfriend to girlfriend. Sometimes his girlfriend tries to murder him. Like his last one, Lian Tang, or Lian, I don't know how you pronounce it. They spelled it differently in different issues for some reason. But so he's kind of this back to his bachelor ways, and I think now they're setting it up so he might have be Mockingbird's love interest.
Which that doesn't even make sense, because Dan Slott, when he was a writer, said he didn't want him with superheroes. So, I mean, the guy just, I don't know, he just can't keep his stuff straight, I guess.
No, you're not alone, that's for sure.
It just, and I mentioned it to others I've talked to in the past too, and I picked that up from your reviews, and I've noticed other people saying it too. It's like it's the gimmick of the month to make him get out of a situation. What did he create now? Which is cool in a way that he's using his brains. But it's like, okay, you've got a utility belt now that has the ability to solve any issue you have.
Right. From issue to issue, he might be using acid webbing, quick-drying cement webbing, Z-coil webbing. There's all these different kind of, like, whatever situation he was in, it's like he just pulled out of his pocket, or his, utility belt or whatever, or web shooter. he's got the right webbing for that situation, and you're like, okay, well, this kind of takes. There's no drama
exactly. Yeah, and before, he had to deal with what he had sometimes, and it had drama, and sometimes he would create something and be good. But now it's every time you're thinking, okay, what's he going to do this time, and pull out what tech to solve this problem, or what kid is he going to ask or person because he's not smart enough to do it himself anymore. Because it's no longer Peter Parker saves the day; it's whoever's guest starring with him doing the job for him saving the day.
Who's going to get me out of trouble?
Yeah.
And I don't even, on some level, I don't mind him asking for help, because I actually think that is an adult thing to do, is to know when, you do need to ask for help and you can't do it on your own. So, like, I don't mind that per se, but it's oftentimes done in a way where it's like almost like a dig at his character, or the kind of help he needs kind of diminishes him. Like I said, he's asking a character how to convert kilometers to miles, or things like that, and you're like, what? That's very strange.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Asking for help is a mature thing, and I agree with you. It's just like everything that has to get solved for him is smacking the character in the face.
Yeah.
Right, and even in the last, there were issues where, Dr. Octopus is in Living Brain's body, and he had to essentially tip him off to where this terrorist organization was. And the issue before that, Anna Marconi, she kind of came to his aid by bringing in all of the think tank personnel that he worked with, all of his allies over the past couple years, to use their brain power to help him out. And I don't know. At some point in time, it just gets a little. It's off. Something's not quite right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you figure Spider-Man took on a Herald of Galactus and took him out by himself. There's, he's got to be fighting Galactus before he's like, hey, I kind of need some help.
Yeah.
Or a Skrull invasion, where the Avengers or the Fantastic Four show up.
Yeah, it's that's my issue, but so that's the reason I'm reading the MC2 Spider-Girl, and I'm telling you, if you need a Peter Parker fix, that's a cheap way to get it. It's not expensive to get. You can get them all, and I mean, it has a great team on it. It has a lot. Not all the issues were penciled by Ron Frenz, but he does a lot of them. It's created. The character was created by Tom DeFalco, Ron Frenz, I believe, and. There might have been somebody else involved in that too, and it's great. It has the A-Next team, which is the next Avengers, Fantastic Five, which is an evolution of the Fantastic Four, has the New Warriors, Nova's in it, a character that's a new version of Daredevil called Dark Devil, and they get into, I don't want to spoil it, and I get onto him and things, and it's really good. So I'm enjoying it. All right, so that's what I've been reading. So now I guess it's a good time to get into the, as I say, the nasty stuff, which would be Captain America. Just a couple days ago, there was a big, we'll start with that part, I guess, first, a big push that Captain America should be gay, and Bucky should be his partner.
What?
Yes, on the internet, there was a massive push, and it was surging on Twitter. I mean, trending hard, and I guess they were doing a petition to Disney that Captain America should be gay. It would make so much sense, even though he's had how many years of history with him being with women. So.
That was kind of my problem with the that hashtag is, if you look at the comments, people don't care about the history. It's only about what I want right now.
Right.
And it's, they're willing to completely ignore 75 years worth of history where this guy has, shown that he's interested in women, and suddenly, magically, kind of like Iceman, like Bendis did with Iceman, just turn him gay overnight, and you're supposed to be okay with it, and you're just like, what? Why would you do that?
Right. I mean, if you started off that way from day one, I wouldn't have had a problem with it, But you don't change a character after 50 years and all of a sudden, I've been with these women that I always enjoyed and loved and showed the real love in the comic books, but, I'm gay now. I'm not trying to be homophobic or anything like that. I'm really not, so the hate messages will come. But, because I have nothing against that. But probably one of the bigger things I have against is, why do people want to keep focusing on changing established characters when you can just use the ones we've already got, give them more hype, or use new ones? I mean, they've done great things with certain characters like Luke Cage and things like that. You know, it's just phenomenal. Like, I can't wait for the Netflix Luke Cage one to come.
Well, the thing with saying is Captain America gay? Are the people clamoring for this really the people who are reading the comic books?
I don't think so.
And I think you really got to go to what the people reading the comic books are saying.
That seems fair. I don't think we get that. That's why I think too. It's just a big push by people who don't even read it, so they don't really know.
Right. Actually, a few weeks ago, Salon magazine, I think it was Salon or it was Slate, one of those two, they released an article essentially calling for the same thing, or else it was more like they were lamenting in Civil War that Captain America was so I forgot what the exact words, but it was like, it was strongly heterosexual or something strange like that, and they wished it was more ambiguous, so that people who were gay could somehow better relate to him or something like that, as if I don't know. It was a very weird thing, and I think that's what got the ball rolling. And now a couple weeks later, this is started again on Twitter.
Wow. I keep forgetting people actually consider Salon reputable. Jeez,
nobody does.
I can't believe people do. All right, well, when the fire burned on that, which evidently burned out quick, or it was surpassed, because shortly after, like the very next day, it really hit the fan when all of a sudden it was teased in the release that Captain America was actually a Hydra agent all along.
That sounds like a gimmick.
Oh, yeah. Now, to be fair, there is... first of all, I'd like to say that people should not be threatening Nick Spencer's life and all that. That's crazy crap. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. You can dislike something and say you think it's a gimmick. You could say you think it's trash. I'm fine with that. I think we all have opinions, just like buttholes. But we don't have to be buttholes. So I guess what happens is there is a cosmic cube involved in this story, if I'm not mistaken. Now, my feeling is if that's involved, most likely there's been some kind of rewriting of history that changed it and manipulated it to have Cap's mother end up being in the Hydra and therefore Cap and all that. So they're out to reverse it.
Well, that's the thing is if you go, I mean, obviously Marvel's going to say this, Tom Brevoort and, Nick Spencer. They went to Time Magazine, I think it was USA Today, and numerous other media outlets, and they were saying, no, this is the deal. This is not a gimmick. This is the Cap. It's not a clone. It's not mind control. So at least for now, there's... I think people would be more okay with it if they actually said the same thing. Like, listen, this is just a story. It's going to be unraveled, but like they're on record as saying it's not.
Well, to be fair, if it's the Cosmic Cube and it changed him in reality, it is him. I mean, they're telling the truth if that's the case. Right,
yeah, they're giving themselves an out, but my thing is even if they do, like a year from now, they unravel it. It's kind of like the Superior Spider-Man type of thing.
Exactly. It's disingenuous.
To me, this is actually a lot worse because they're going back. They're saying this is from the very beginning, and this was a character that was essentially created to fight Nazis by two Jewish men, Kirby and Simon, and they're undoing that. But it's like just because you can do something, it doesn't mean you should do it.
Yes,
I agree 100%. It might make a good, interesting read or something and shock people, but like you said, there's an element where sometimes you gotta go, okay, wait a minute, is this going too far? And like I agree with you, you take something that two Jewish people created, and it's sort of a smack in the face. Of course, though, if you go to Marvel themselves, for example, a Jewish person, Dan Slott, he's absolutely fine with it.
Yeah, he actually put out a tweet likening this sort of, making Cap a Nazi sympathizer Hydra agent to the 1970s when Captain America became Nomad, and said, how dare somebody write a story as if they're two completely different things. One is just a guy who's questioning his role in the world, whether he wants to continue with the mantle, give it up to somebody else. He's disillusioned, and the other is he's a Nazi. It's to me they're completely different. It's comparing apples and zucchini or something like that. It's not even close to the same thing.
Which this whole thing fascinates me, that they feel they have to keep doing these things with these characters, because Captain America right now is at probably his height of popularity. His movies are hitting it huge. People are loving it. More people are caring about Captain America than ever before. So you'd think they'd want to pick up a book and go, hey, there's my Captain America. Instead they get, what the heck, he's a Hydra agent? I mean, do they not see a disconnect there?
The other thing that kind of irritates me about this is Tom Brevoort goes and says, I think this was the USA Today article, he said, we knew this would be like a slap in the face to a lot of people. And then he turns around in like the Time piece and says, no, this isn't a gimmick, because a gimmick would be done just to shock people. So on one hand, to me, if you slap someone in the face, that is shocking.
Yeah.
So you can't say like, we're doing this knowing we're going to make people mad, but no, it's not a gimmick. And he's like trying to have it both ways.
I think Marvel is just purely being disingenuous. They're going to say one thing and mean something else. They're just not going to tell us the truth. Just like a Spider-Man, he's dead, he's not coming back, because they know it's going to create that shock value. It's going to get them the media attention, because if they didn't do that kind of thing, they're not going to get the media attention, and that's going to help them sell books. You watch #1 of Captain America will probably sell well, and then it's probably going to drop, just like Sam Wilson Captain America. It got good initial sales, and look where it ended up. Not doing very well.
I think it was selling in like the high, 27,000 or something like that, 25,000. I don't know the exact number, but yeah, it wasn't selling great at all.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing Sam Wilson. I'm one of the few people that actually always liked the Falcon, I think. So I always thought it was a cool concept. Usually people hate him. And so when he was going to take over as a legacy character, he makes logical sense to me. But then when you read Nick Spencer's take on it, I was like, oh crap, this sucks.
Well, you also have a weird dichotomy now, especially because Spencer's such a political guy, where Steve Rogers was coming back. You want to root for Captain America, but now it's like there's a weird racial element where it's like you can't root for the white Nazi guy to be Captain America, or he's like setting it up that way. But like Sam Wilson, as much as I like him, I think of him as Falcon. I don't really think of him as a permanent Captain America. It's
Same
like,
here. But I do think the outfit's cool. I love that new costume.
I like Sam Wilson's costume. I don't like Captain America's new costume. I think it looks like NFL Super Pro from the 90s.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Foul cap. I like that. Yeah. By the way, I have NFL Super Pro. That's just for some embarrassment there. I have it, so shame on me. But I do agree 100% there. I like the Falcon's new costume as as Foul Cap, I call him. But yeah, I don't care for the new Captain America too much. Especially I'm using him with a round shield now, even though it goes back to the history a little bit. But yeah, Marvel once again just being disingenuous. And so, like you said, they're going on these news things and creating that spin. They're trying to spin it. So what do you think then overall is Marvel creators in their reaction from this anger? Are they handling it well on social media?
I don't think they are. I mean, there's all sorts of... There's always like the snarky comments at the fans who are upset, or they highlight... their way to kind of negate criticism is just to automatically be like, oh, people are threatening my life. Well, it's... If you're online, there's always going to be idiots. I mean, there's, millions of people online, and, so they try and essentially equate legitimate criticism. They lump you in with, like, the 0.1% of people online who are being irrational and threatening and stuff like that. And that... I don't know. I think that's just not right.
I got interrupted by Lieutenant Frugal here. Hey, Lieutenant Frugal, can you go away right now? I'm a little busy. I'm recording, okay?
I need help wiping my butt.
Okay, I'll be editing that out. Can you go ask your mom? Your mom will help you, okay? Go ahead. Mom will take care of your butt. I promise. Okay? Sorry, buddy. I love you.
That isn't for headquarters.
Okay, I know. I'll talk to you later, okay?
For headquarters.
All right. Okay, bye-bye.
I need your help.
Okay. Well, sorry about that. That will be edited out. Might be good for the blooper reel. I need you to wipe my butt. As you can see, that was just too funny, so we had to leave it in. Oh. Sorry. All right.
Or you could keep that in as a soundbite every time we talk about Dan Slott.
Oh, jeez. Oh, that's just hard. Well, speaking of wiping butts, Nick Spencer, I guess, put something to the statement. I'm paraphrasing him, that all Republicans are evil.
Who said that?
Nick Spencer.
Nick Spencer said that on his in his Twitter feed. I mean, he's a super political guy, and
and that's showing up in this book, I think.
Is that the Captain America book it's showing up in?
Mommy can help me.
You'll have to. I'm busy. I'm sorry. Okay.
Mommy didn't.
Go. Mommy will help you.
She says no.
Tell her I'm busy right now, and she'll take care of you. I am so sorry. I don't think he puts that directly in his book, but the writings in his book, especially with Falcon as the Captain America and stuff, has definitely been supercharged politically.
Well, in the first issue here, you mentioned Falcon. There was that, but the Red Skull appears, and he gives a speech on essentially Syrian refugees from the Middle East going to Europe, and he talks about. Essentially, he references the Bureau of Land Management out west and the ranchers from a while ago, and those sorts of things. And it's essentially a stand-in for Donald Trump. And Time Magazine asked Tom Brevoort about this and was like, hey, basically you could put a Trump wig on the Red Skull right now, and kind of is that on purpose or what? And he kind of avoided it and said, oh, we always kind of write towards the zeitgeist of the moment or whatever. So it's obvious that it's a metaphor. So you have the Red Skull essentially sounding like a Republican presidential hopeful, and then on top of that, Cap becoming a Nazi. And it's just... To me, it just turns me off. I don't want to read that. I don't,
I agree with you, and that's one of the things that burns me. I put a tweet out there, something. I want Marvel to have writers that can write, not activists that want to write. Because I'll be honest, Nick Spencer, I read his work, The Superior Foes of Spider-Man. I've actually done video reviews for every issue of the series. I have not posted them yet, and I loved it. It was just a great book. And so I go from hearing he was going to be on Captain America and stuff, and I was like, well, that could be good. And it was horrid. Absolutely horrid. So, as much as I'm blasting Nick Spencer possibly here, I just want to point out that he's done stuff I think was very good. I think it's when he allows his political perspective to overtake his writing is when it gets bad.
Yeah, and even if you stripped out all of the politics, I mean, there's so much in the issue, but if you stripped it out and you kind of just look at it objectively, it's obvious he's an intelligent man, and he's a solid writer. But he's injecting so much politics into it. When it gets to the point, like, I would almost rather, weird cartoonish Republican talking points in the villain, as opposed to the Red Skull sounds like he makes common sense observations that you would hear from, Republicans or even moderate Democrats on. It's not even so much Donald Trump as, he says, something along the lines of, these migrants are coming in, and if you say anything against it, then you're a bigot or whatever, which is true, and it's like, so now people that read it, they associate common sense observations by Republicans as Nazism. And
Well, yeah, I just want to I want to say that I think it's a bad idea to lump anybody in one group, saying that all one group of people are something, right? You know, like saying all Republicans are evil, or all Democrats are evil, or all the Mexicans coming over the borders are all rapists.
Right.
You know, that's silly.
You know, and I wouldn't want this in it if it was a woman portrayed as Hillary Clinton either. You know, I think they need to keep it out of both sides. Matter of fact, I would like to take a bet. Let's say if Trump does become president, are we going to have a Marvel issue where Spider-Man fist bumps him? I doubt it. You know,
if
maybe
Trump
it'll be the Red
becomes the
Skull.
president, Marvel is going to have a field day with, you know, the Red Skull or other characters being stand-ins for. I mean, Red Skull was actually wasn't he essentially Donald Rumsfeld in the past? They called him Del Rusk.
Yeah,
and it was
that's Red Skull backwards, but
yeah, and somebody said that the initials they essentially made him a stand-in for Donald Rumsfeld or something like that.
For the Red Skull?
Yeah. There was also another time period too. Matter of fact, I believe it was when Cap turned into Nomad. It was, it was during Nixon's presidency, and they made Nixon out to be a bad guy. No,
yeah,
I'm not saying Nixon was a great guy.
Yeah, and on that one, I kind of, I could understand Captain America, questioning. That was a tumultuous time for the country, and I could understand him saying I just need to get away for a while and figure this out. Like, that makes sense to me. I'm like, okay, but
I mean, in all trueness, there's been lots of changes in Cap's history. Just like Spider-Man and everything else, he's been dead supposedly for a period. He's retired. He's lost his powers numerous times. I mean, just recently he lost his powers from the Iron Veil. And it wasn't that long ago. Before that, he lost his powers too. So, they're rehashing a lot. But granted, he's had a long history.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because you could use comics to, and even if you're going to get political, you either have a choice of uniting people through your comics or dividing people. And so I was watching before we started the podcast. There's a YouTube video by Razor Fist is his name, and he basically was saying the same thing. It's like you wait until a presidential election cycle and you get as political as you possibly can, but in a way that purposefully divides people. And it's like comics shouldn't be about dividing people. They shouldn't be about you look at Captain America and you're sad. This is a character that you grew up with. I had posters of Captain America on my wall, and now you're telling me he's a Nazi, even if it's only for a year. It's like, it's not cool.
Yeah, exactly. And isn't it nice to have at least one hero that you can know is going to do the right thing? I mean, It's like Superman for DC. You expect Superman to do the right thing. So we've got, in Marvel, you got Cap, and it just sort of makes you go, what?
Well,
I was going to say, it sounds like, really, if a writer wants to write about a topic, write about the topic. Don't, don't make it personal, I don't think. Don't, make it about a specific candidate or a political party. Talk about an issue, then deal with the issue. But try to deal with it from two sides. I mean, if you have a hero, you're going to see his point of view. And if you have a villain, a more well-rounded villain, you see his point of view. Like, if you have Lex Luthor, for example, you get, at least according to the comics, you get that he's really kind of concerned about this really godlike being, and there's no check on him.
Right.
And Lex Luthor's also a really shallow person, but that's Lex Luthor. If they said, well, he's if he's a representative of the entire Republican Party, they'd be like, wait a minute, not all Republicans are evil.
Right, and not all Democrats are, welfare-loving Republican haters. It's
right.
Well, even if you go to Civil War, to me, that's a perfect example of the Russo brothers had an issue, that can translate to real life. How much, does power corrupt? Absolute power corrupt absolutely? Those sorts of questions.
Right.
And when you go, they said, whether it's Ant-Man, Black Panther, Black Widow, Spider-Man, whoever, everybody that goes into that theater, they have a favorite character. So, given that, even if the character's on screen for 5 minutes total, you want to do that character in a way where they leave the theater and they're like on cloud 9, and they're like, he was done to the best of his ability. And I just felt like that was a movie where, everyone had disagreements over these kind of like broad philosophical questions. But when you exited the theater, you didn't hate anybody. You didn't think anyone was a villain.
Right.
You didn't say, oh, that hippie, bleeding heart, whatever. Oh, that cold-hearted conservative. It's like they're all heroes.
So what you're saying is the movie treaded so well that they portrayed it as there's not absolutes. It's not always black or white. It's sometimes gray, and that's why these disagreements come. Whereas in the comic books, you didn't get that. I mean, if you look at comic books, the Civil War was a bit of a smack in the face. I mean, if you think about it, at the end of the day, it ended really with siege, if you think about it, because all that happened because of it in the Dark Avengers, and ended up them all having a party and all celebrating, and it's like, cheers guys, look, we're all back and happy together. But did they even mention, except for the guy that got killed, Bill Foster, over all this?
Or Giant Man.
That's Bill Foster.
Right.
Yeah, no mention of that. Well, somebody died because of our dumb actions, It's just all got erased with a party. Oh, yay!
Well, now you have it, one of the readers on my blog mentioned, you have Civil War II gearing up, but Cap is a Hydra agent. So they've already made it where, how can you really root for Cap's side when he's a Nazi sympathizer now? He's automatically kind of like the bad. You don't want to trust him or anything he says, and you want to laugh at anybody who's on his team or feel sorry for them because they're being duped by a Hydra agent. So, with the first Civil War, Iron Man was obviously the bad guy. They turned him into this kind of weird Dick Cheney-esque character. Mm-hmm. And now on this one, you have Cap as a Nazi. And you're just like, I give up.
That's a good point. So I guess we made a pretty good shift here into the Captain America movie, the Civil War. And with that said, then it sounds like everybody liked it. Good movie. Yeah, awesome. It makes you want to see a Black Panther movie, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I want to see one.
I think that would be awesome.
I like the character of Black Panther was pretty good.
Do you think it worked for Sony as a gear up for the Spider-Man movie, The Homecoming?
I think it definitely did. I was watching it going, God, I really wish Marvel had control of Spider-Man, and we didn't have Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. If I think Marvel's Spider-Man version would have been great. I've heard rumor that they may be getting the Fantastic Four.
Well, if Fox thinks they can do a sequel after that turd, good luck to them. Which, I should not say that. That's not fair. I have not seen it.
I have seen it.
That was the first thing. I have no desire to see it. That's the problem.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I went to the movie theater on a day off in the afternoon, and I saw that movie, and it was atrocious.
Okay, this is how bad I don't want to see this movie. I seen the B movie that they never released of Fantastic Four. Okay? And I had more desire to seek that out and see it than this thing. Wow, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Thing doesn't wear pants in that.
Hold up. Yo, what did my boy just say? Can somebody please rewind that?
I don't believe he does. I think he's all rock. The whole thing is very strange. They sucked all the life and all the fun out of it. It was like super kind of dark, and like I almost got a feeling it was almost like they were trying to mix almost like a horror movie in comic books. Like it had like The Fly kind of feel to it or something like that with the grotesque transformation and I don't know what they were going for. And then it just like the ending there were problems with what's his name, Josh Trank or whatever, where he was apparently drunk on set and they kicked him off. I don't know if that's true, but there was all those issues. and they brought in another director, and it was like, we need an ending to this. And I can't explain it, but it felt like they were just like, all right, put some special effects together and have them fight real quick and call it a day.
Let's wrap this turd up.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Which tends to make me think that these movie studios really need to reevaluate. You look what happened. They took Spider-Man and they took him off of track of what he originally was, and they didn't do very well. The Spider-Man's had diminishing returns, so this with the new spin with Avengers is probably Sony saying, "Oh, heaven help us, thank you," because Spider-Man was failing. And because then you turn around, and you take another movie, Deadpool. He's a very minutely known character compared to a lot of these characters, but they kept the movie to the core of what Deadpool is, and it did awesome.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take a kid to see it. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely not a kid movie, but I have to say it was a good movie.
Yeah, it's weird what staying true to the character and the source material will do for your movie.
Yeah. He's a kooky character. It was just a fun ride all the way through. And look at Colossus. They made Colossus look like Colossus, unlike they've done in the other X-Men movies and stuff. I thought he looked cool.
Well, it's like with the Fantastic Four movie. It's like, why can't we get Doctor Doom just to look like Doctor Doom? Like, when the first images of Doctor Doom came out with Fantastic Four, people were like, "Oh my goodness, is this what it's going to look like when when they're done with all the special effects?" And it was like, yes. That actually was what he looked like.
No!
So hopefully Marvel, hopefully they strike a deal with Marvel, because Kevin Feige, I think he's a genius. I think, I hope that he stays on for another 10 or 15 years, because he really seems to have his pulse on kind of like who the characters are, what they're, the kind of core of the character that needs to be translated from the comics to the big screen.
Absolutely. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there word that DC is wising up a little bit, and I think Jeff Johns is going to be having a more prominent role in the movies for DC?
Let's hope.
I did hear that, and I think, that's the thing is, Warner Brothers has apparently always been kind of like a director's studio where they let the director do his thing, but when you're trying to create these kind of connected, a universe with all these different characters, you need someone with like one overriding vision, and to keep everybody on track, towards that one goal. You can't have, directors all over the place that don't know what the other guy is doing, or, if they have disagreements, the Flash director has a disagreement with Zack Snyder, he's still going to do his thing anyway, make a totally different tone, and, at least, the Marvel MCU, everything fits within that universe, like, perfectly.
Yeah, the Marvel movies are on fire, I think, and DC's got to do a lot of catching up to do. Though I will say DC's doing better, I think, on TV. But...
Yeah, I think with if you saw Batman versus Superman, didn't you, Doug?
Yes.
What was your take of that?
Well, that's another situation where I think they just tried to do too much. I think they spent too much time trying to set up Justice League instead of just doing what they needed to do right.
Right. I was thinking, because after watching it, I said Zack Snyder should never direct another superhero movie ever again. It was a dismal, sad film. Superman is supposed to be... I get what they're trying to do, but... So I started thinking about Zack Snyder directed Watchmen, and I thought, okay, he sees the Justice League as the Watchmen. And then I thought, okay, that makes sense of why he directed it the way he did.
Yeah, So my thing is not, I don't mind if a movie is dark per se. There's plenty of dark movies that are good movies. I think Zack Snyder's not really a writer. He's more of like a visual guy. And it seemed like the script was just like really weak, because you had Batman was fleshed out. We could disagree over whether he should be branding people with bat brands, but
Batman was the Punisher.
His character seemed really but I at least understood all of his motivations. But Superman, I think I read somewhere that he had like a total of 5 minutes of speaking time in like the entire movie, and Lex Luthor was, to me, kind of horrible and bizarre, and like a cross between Jim Carrey and wannabe Heath Ledger Joker. I don't know. I felt like the script was like a first draft script.
Well, wasn't it supposed to be a Superman sequel originally?
Yeah, he wasn't Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor should be like calculating and cunning and devious, and he's got plans within plans. I mean, he's kind of like the anti-Batman. I mean, he's kind of like the Batman's perfect nemesis. Like, he's got plans for plans and things like that.
Well, to me, if you have Superman and Batman and they need to go up against somebody, you need a villain that can convincingly, give these two guys a hard time. And I never got it from Jesse Eisenberg. That's not... I almost think, Michael Fassbender, was it Magneto in the new X-Men movie? Like, I almost wanted them to, like, take him, shave his head, make him like the real adult Luthor or something like that. And I don't know. Yeah. I just felt Jesse Eisenberg was this goofy like kid, and I'm like, he's not going to stand up to Bruce Wayne and Superman. He's just not.
No, he wasn't a super mastermind. He was just, ooh, I'm the Joker.
Yeah, Luthor has to have a presence. I mean, really, he's a man that has a lot of confidence and things like that, and so he comes off as very big, where I don't see Jesse Eisenberg coming off as a big man. And I don't mean physically big. I mean, you can tell those people when they walk into the room, they have something about them.
The other thing with Batman versus Superman was like the resolution to the fight. It was like, your mother's name is Martha, mine's is Martha too. I guess we're friends now, or something like that. I was just like, wait a second, what?
Our moms have the same name.
There's only so many people on Earth, but we've got the same name. Oh, jeez. So Marvel's definitely stepping it up, pulling in. And the directors with Captain America doing absolutely awesome. But unfortunately, the comic books have generated massive amount of anger, clearly. And I will say, though, there's a trending thing on Twitter now that says "Say no to Hydra Cap." So maybe there is some hope after all in the universe here for us. They can turn this crap around.
Well, if we go to a Comic-Con where we see the sales, I'm sure we'll see a tank.
I think the first issue will probably sell good because you get the collectors. Oh, this is going to be great, because it's something new, because the first issue, which I don't know why they think first issues are always going to be worth a lot, because they're not. But the collecting market's a different beast altogether. But I agree. I doubt there's going to be a large amount of sales. We've seen the same thing with every one of these characters so far that Marvel's pulled this crap with. If you want to actually look and see, then they're going to. Just for the record, I know if somebody in Marvel, they'll tweet about this or something and say, well, they don't have the real numbers, they're using these, but yet whenever those numbers are good, those are the very numbers and the source they use to brag about it. So, you can't have both ways here. So, being, straight up with it, you look, Falcon Cap, as I said, I'm a Sam fan, the book sales tanked. Down. Matter of fact, they bragged about Miss Marvel. I've reviewed some of those and put those up on the site as well too, about how great it's selling. Really, it's not. But then, to be fair to them, if you have a product and you see this on TV too, you don't advertise it that, well, this product is not selling well. Come check it out. You want to generate hype, so they're just not being genuine. And we were talking about the responses too of these people on the internet, these writers and stuff. It doesn't help when the writer wants to complain about how they're treated when they post pictures like Nick Spencer did that says what is not to love, and it's Captain America with a photoshopped suit with the Hydra symbol on it. It's like you're bringing it on yourself.
Yeah, no, the writers will antagonize the readers, and then the readers respond to them, and then they play the victim like, oh, how, the readers are so irrational, and it's like, but you went to incite them, like we were talking about earlier. Tom Brevoort says, we did this knowing it was going to be a slap in the face to countless fans, and it's like, if you walk up to someone on the street and slap them in the face, then they get upset at you, you don't have the moral authority to then, lecture them on being upset and the right way to respond. And it's like, I don't know.
I'm reading some of the
Bizarre
posts.
to me.
Yeah, I'm reading some of the posts right now under Nick Spencer, and you're right. It's interesting, the responses. It has Mark Waid, or Dick Move Wade. On behalf of all comic creators everywhere, I would like to thank Nick Spencer for drawing all the fire this week so we can relax for once. Under that, there is Nick Spencer's trying to justify his flop idea, and then he has the audacity to post Cap wearing a Hydra suit. Then you get stuff like this. It says, I wonder how snide and smug you'll stay once your pockets start feeling a lot lighter. And they retweeted somebody said, my friend who works at a comic book store said they had a lot of people cancel their orders for Cap #1. I don't always believe all that hype there. It's a lot of back and forth on it.
Right.
People need just to chill out. It is a comic book, I understand that, but there's definitely no reason to be calling people and dropping bad bombs at each other and saying you're going to kill them. But that's a whole different story.
If you don't like something, just don't buy it.
Right. So I mentioned some of the good. Marvel's kicking butt in the movies. DC, we mentioned, was doing good on the television shows. Marvel's struggling a little bit. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had a rough first start. I think I've been watching it. I think it had a much stronger second and third season. It really picked up. I think it's still struggling. They're moving it to 1 hour later, so its time slot's getting bumped. Agent Carter didn't make it. It was canceled. And the S.H.I.E.L.D. spinoff, I think with this Most Wanted or something they were going to call it, is not going to go either. Which, when I say Marvel's having a harder time on TV, I'm not counting Netflix, because Netflix has been pretty awesome. But probably, in my opinion, the weakest so far of the Netflix has been Jessica Jones.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, it just was a little slow, which just makes me sound bad. My favorite part of Jessica Jones was probably Luke Cage.
I like Jessica Jones, but I felt that there were certain times where, they would have bizarre sex scenes that, they went over the top, where it was, totally unnecessary, there's, they just, did it for the sake of being salacious or something like that. And you're like, okay, you don't need to just do it just to be like, ooh, we're rated R, we're edgy. You're like, I don't know. That was kind of weird to me.
And I really liked the supporting character that was the drug addict.
I think he's going to play a pretty big role in the second season.
Oh, really? I think that'd be great, because I really think he was a great character in that. I mean, they showed a lot of growth with him. And I really enjoyed that. And a little bit more spin with the Netflix too, with Iron Fist. They're getting a little backlash because they chose a white guy to play Iron Fist because they didn't choose an Asian guy or something like that. Which he's a white guy. What's the problem here? So it'd be like Black Panther getting cast by a British white guy. I'd be aggravated.
Well, it was weird because there were people online that the same kind of groups of people that were upset that he was a white guy said that, well, I would actually be kind of upset if he was an Asian guy too, because then you would be stereotyping Asian people as martial artists. Okay. So it was like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? I don't know what you want me to do here. Let's just go with the source material. That seems to be the most rational option.
Take a pick who to offend. We'll just go from there. Which, by the way, since we were talking about all this stuff, the Falcon in the Marvel movies, I think this gives the Falcon, and we talked about this before, Falcon gets a lot more attention, so it's almost a shame they changed him from being the Falcon and given him a temp job, probably, because let's be honest, how long will that last? Do any thoughts that maybe they could be a spin-off with the Falcon, or is he not going to ever get his own solo? Because he's really liked in these movies.
I actually wouldn't mind a Falcon War Machine movie. I think that would be kind of cool if they teamed up together.
That would be cool, with maybe some kind of military style bad guy.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say they could do a series of one-off movies called Marvel Team Up.
Well, yeah. You have an Air Force guy and an Army guy together, and you could kind of do a similar thing where it's like a Tom Clancy-ish type of military thriller type of thing, possibilities that they could do there.
That'd be a really cool, different kind of spin on it, put something like that. I like that idea. All right, and so we're getting pretty long here, and to top it off our last one, the X-Men movie, Age of Apocalypse. Anybody going tonight? Tomorrow? Next day? See it? Possibly?
I'm going tomorrow for sure. I guess I could still go tonight, but I'll see it this weekend for sure.
Awesome. How about you, Henchman 1?
I think I may see it on DVD. I don't know. Because I didn't get to read the comics when it came out, so part of me wants to go, I'd rather read the comics than watch the movie. But it could be good. It's got Psylocke in it. I'm like, hey, cool, we can see Psylocke. But I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It'll probably be all right.
I think it's going to be good. I'd like to see it, but I have a feeling I'll be too busy wiping butts.
Yeah.
If I edit that other part out, that's really going to come off bad now, isn't it?
I was just going to say that.
Shoot. Yeah. I don't think I'll be able to get to see it in the theaters. I was really hoping to see Captain America Civil War in the theater, and that didn't pan out. Same with Deadpool, we were going to, and everything fell through watching the kids. So everything's been just real crazy lately with the work schedule of 14-hour days and stuff. It's just been fun. I'll probably be watching it when it's on Blu-ray or something like that. My goal, though, is to watch another one that I haven't seen yet, which, yes, point the finger and laugh, is Ant-Man. I haven't seen it. I'm hoping for this weekend. So, slowly catching up. Well, with that said, before we wrap it up, Doug, why don't you plug your website once so that everybody can know where they can check out your reviews?
Sure. Well, I just want to thank you guys for having me on again on your podcast. I'm really grateful for you guys having me on, and I appreciate it. And I'll definitely plug the podcast on the website. And anyone that wants to comic reviews for Daredevil, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Black Panther, or The Amazing Spider-Man could check out my blog at douglasernsblog.com.
And at this time, I'd like to say and give a special thanks to Douglas Ernst for joining us. And please take the time to check out his reviews on his website. They're very well written and very objective. And if you have more time, continue to check out our podcast. And maybe if you haven't listened to the past ones, definitely give them a good listen too. And if you want to read more reviews and check out more of our insights, check us out at thehenchmenslounge.com. You can check us out for more reviews, articles, and other fun and interesting things at thehenchmenslounge.com. Thank you.